watching on me.
Lois Lane. Welcome to Comics League Dark. I'm Jared. I'm here with Robert. What's up, dude?
Yo, what up?
And the Heat Man's here. What's up, JJheat? And you are muted, JJheat. So if you're talking, you are muted. But anyway, so we have a packed show for you all today by What's Up, Cameron. And today we are going to be discussing. We have the Batman 2 script is finally done.
Yep.
We're going to compare Doomsday Clock to the Watchmen show. James Bond has a new director. An interesting choice, but it's something that I think could work. And we're going to talk about issue 1 of the history of the DC universe. Yes, I got the Wonder Woman cover. Everyone should know that by now. But so what do you guys want to talk about first?
Up to you. Well, let me go grab my Doomsday Clock stuff, but I'd say we talk about the Batman stuff.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So let's do that. So I think I have a good clip for Batman. I should have it. Should be somewhere here. Here, we'll use this. So the Batman has a script.
Yay!
Which we all knew was going to happen. It wasn't like it's going to get like pulled or anything like that. I never really believed that. Which it's comforting to know that we finally have a story, which it makes you guys kind of wonder, what could said story be? Could it be setting up a certain court of bird people, or could it be like other villains? And by the way, you in the chat, if you guys have any theories on what you guys think the villains of the Batman Part 2 could be, go ahead and drop them in the chat. But JJ, how about you?
As for me, because it depends how grounded they want to be. Now, say what you will about Mr. Freeze being very fantastical. I think you can do a hybrid or workaround with Mr. Freeze in terms of his origin. Maybe
I mean, with Mr. Freeze, you could still deal with the whole hypothermia thing, and he freezes people. That happens nowadays.
The cryo suit is where you'll have the biggest hurdle.
Right.
Yeah. I think what they'll probably do, I mean, see, here's the thing with Reeves. He does go a little fantastical with the movie, like the hits and the falls that Batman makes, or taking a shotgun blast to the chest at close range.
He does it more than Nolan did.
Yeah, I would say, I think that when he talks about grounded, he means that like there's no like Batmite or anything like that. But I think we can afford to maybe they can actually do freeze. And Barry Cameron says, finally, I always believed it was done, and they were just waiting to see online responses if it would have. I still don't think, and they even recently restated it's not going to be in the DCU.
All right.
Great marketing is not as common as it used to be. I will give them that.
So, Robert, how about you? What stories do you think the story 2 could at least be?
I personally think we're gonna still have Hush involved.
Yeah.
Without a proper Bat family, you need at least the Bat family set up before.
But
not necessarily.
They did. No, you don't need that, JJheat. I mean, that would make it. That would be if they're trying to go for a 1-to-1. They're going to go for a spiritual one.
Now, NJ brings up Poison Ivy. What they could do, and what's up, Louis? What they could do for Poison Ivy, they don't necessarily have to go full, because I think Poison Ivy, like fully powered, is like a little too fantastical. They could at least have her show up as like a cameo, like Bruce is doing like Wayne in Enterprises, and then he sees like a botanist named Pamela Isley.
Yeah.
You can
tease
Pamela. You can tease Pamela Isley.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to go full. In other words, just to show that like this character exists in this universe.
You'll have to go the environmentalist route. In terms of her connected to the green, yeah, that's out the question.
Yeah, there's no way they're doing that. There's no way. And Barry Cameron says, I have to disagree, JJheat. Thomas's beef is mostly with Bruce, so he can be like a year 1, year 2 villain. Well, remember, is it like the origin of like Hush is that he's pissed off that like Bruce's father saved his parents?
To an extent, I got this, Robert. To an extent, but it's mostly supposed to be an inverse of Bruce, to where Mr. Elliot was allegedly domestically abusive, and it was just a play to finally stand up to him and secure his inheritance. Mm-hmm. But the plan went awry, and then Thomas was barely. I think Thomas during the surgery was able to save his mother, and then Elliot dealt with her in a separate incident. At least from what I'm remembering from Heart of Hush, but I could be wrong on that.
You're right. Yep, you are right. And he was expecting. He was hoping for both parents to die so he could get it all.
Yeah, exactly. So you could go with that. So. I still say again that like Hush is going to be involved because what they could do with this to set this up, because remember a journalist with the last name Elliot is in the first movie.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Now if we're going with Hush, let's assume they go with Hush. And then they use Hush as a vehicle to introduce the court in movie 3. Because I think they're going to do the Court of Owls if they do a third. But you can make it where Thomas Elliot is trying to get revenge on Bruce Wayne for Thomas Wayne essentially ordering the hit on Thomas's father. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where you can go with that. He obviously doesn't know Bruce is Batman. I know. Obviously. Bruce Wayne is Batman? Who would have thought? But
now he could find out from Riddler because Riddler is the one who told him in the original Hush.
But does Riddler know that Bruce Wayne is Batman?
Oh, you're right. He doesn't.
That's the difference. He could deduce it, but I don't think you'd figure it out. But it just says that they might tease her if they want, but considering the grounded universe, she'll still be a normal human. Yeah, exactly. But maybe what you could also do is that maybe she could kind of use like gases and stuff with like plant toxins in them, so they can kind of go as close, because a lot of this stuff exists in warfare.
You might as well use Scarecrow if you're gonna go that route, but I get the logic.
I mean, you could. I'm just saying how I would ground Poison Ivy if I were in charge of this.
Similar aesthetic, but it could be done. But I feel like yes, the character himself, Tommy Elliott, you can get away with a grounded early year 1, year 2 story. You could make it work, but you take away from the larger mystery. Hush, for all its faults, is a year-long mystery. Who would deduce Batman's identity? How far they would go to push him over the edge? Yes, it was later retconned. Jason was a part of the scheme too, but ultimately it was Hush and Riddler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
now could Hush work as a direct follow-up to the Batman one where Riddler was the main villain in that one? Yeah, it could work, but it would ultimately deprive the Batman 2 from being a standalone because it directly carries over the previous one. I'm not saying it's to the point of a retread, but at the very least, it'll directly connect to the previous one.
Mm-hmm. I would say so. And now Louise asked the question, so is the Batman 2 going to have that realistic feel? Now, here's the other thing. It could be that when Reeves said realistic feel, what he meant was it's not going to have like Superman show up. It's just going to be like because a lot of Batman stories are like grounded stories. Like for the most part, it's like I just read Venom for the first time. Great story, by the way. That's relatively grounded, except for like the steroidal drug.
Wait, this is your first time reading Venom? Venom's a classic.
It was half off at my comic book store.
Mm-hmm.
But Cameron says, I will say, do you guys think giving Martha Vicky's origin, or at least last name from Telltales, was a good idea? Always felt weird about that.
Wait. Okay.
Vicky's origin? What?
No, Vicky Vale. Hold on, the camera. I think you're misconstrued. Vicky Vale was a stand-in for Lady Arkham. That was the whole thing, basically tying to the Arkham family and how they were screwed over by Thomas, Falcone, and Hill's corporate trifecta. Martha tried to expose the three, and that ultimately led to the hit, which led to the death of the Waynes. Vicky had nothing to do with Martha.
No. I think now they've tweaked. They've had various versions. You've had Martha Kane. You have Martha Arkham. And that stuff is, how it's done. But we have not. Yeah, they've never, and that's never happened with the Telltale version.
No, the telltale, it just alludes that Martha was contemplating snitching to the authorities, but the hit at Crime Alley took place before she could do anything. That's their only connection.
Now, the other thing, NJ says, what about an absolute horror movie, Professor Pig? That could work. Here's why I'm not necessarily on board with that, NJ, because you could take, like, the first movie as a horror movie. So I'm like, can we kind of go in a little bit more of, like, a crimey direction with that?
A new direction, if you will.
Ah, there you go. There you go. But to be clear, NJ, Professor Pig does work in this universe because 100% you can make that work easily. Now, I wonder, are they? It would be interesting if they did a flashback because I would want to see. So, is Reeve gonna go with the Nolan route of ignoring the Lazarus pit with Raish, or is it just gonna say there was this guru named Raish?
Actually, no, that's a good question now that I think about it.
Because I'm like, the resurrection juice, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, yeah, that was what I meant. Sorry, naming her Martha Arkham was a bit weird for me.
Well, that was just for Earth 1, though.
Mm-hmm. And that was, and I believe Earth 1 was one of the books that inspired the movie. Because the problem with Pig is that if we do them, we would have to make it hard R because well, the first one was PG-13, and it was very much like dark.
It's doable.
It was borderline R.
It's doable. You'd be writing the line with the Motion Pictures Association, but it's doable.
Jeez, can you imagine if the Batman was R-rated? Oh my god.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, that's a lot. But yeah, I mean, so you could do that. You could also use Bane and set up Venom, but
you wouldn't need a whole lot of setup with Bane. If you're just going to do Nightfall alone, you couldn't do No Man's Land, but if you're just going to do Nightfall, Bane could work.
Yeah, because what you could do is like the first, like, let's say 5 minutes of the movie is that Bane origin comic, just speed through that, and then you could off screen have all of these super villains escape. Bruce tracks him down, then Bane breaks his back. You can end on the back breaking, but I think they kind of want to go in a new direction. But still, NJ says, I think we can all agree we should stay away from the Joker for the time being. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I don't want another Joker. It's cool that they teased him, but no, I don't want another Batman versus Joker movie. That has been done to death.
Say what you will about The Dark Knight Rises, but at least that was a direct adaptation of at least going into No Man's Land with the chaos of Gotham under siege. Not so much the earthquake aspect, but how Gotham could easily go off the rails without Batman there.
Well, it was also Nightfall as well, so
it was basically Superman Doomsday where they crammed both stories into one film. But you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
right?
or like Batman versus Superman where they combine 2 stories into one movie.
Right.
Although I like Dark Knight Rises, but it is easily the worst of those 3 movies.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but of those 3, it is the one I like the least.
Right.
Way too long.
It's The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight Rises in that order.
Yeah. It took a year for him to finish the script finally. Well, Steven, here's the thing. Here's what people are forgetting. I would like to look up how long it took him to complete the first script, because I'm like, because according to like at least Gunn or like Matt Reeves himself, he takes a while making the stories.
Right.
Which the first script was solid. So I'm like, if that's what you get with that much time period, yes, go ahead. Take as long as you need, brother. But who knows at this point? But there is still like a lot that they can do. It's like, I echo NJ. I don't want the Joker. It's like there's so many other villains that they definitely could work with. But I honestly feel like, here's the thing. I kind of feel like they would go in that direction and do the Joker because Warner Brothers is trying to replay the same stories over and over again because it sells. I don't know.
Save Joker for the Batman 3. That's the only
right.
way.
At the very least, can we get one movie? Yeah, exactly. Can we get one movie without the Joker, and then we can just move on to like
If you-
other things.
If you save Joker for the Batman 3, I think that's the most tasteful way to go about it.
Now we'll see if Gunn gets out the way. Marcus sends it back. No, because remember, it's like he doesn't
No.
like. He's not involved in like the Elseworld stuff.
No.
I mean, he still has to green light it because it's a DC Studios film, but it's not like he has to approve all the story elements because it's not going to tie into anything he is doing.
Yeah, the
Right.
Batman is standalone for the most part.
Which again, this is reaffirming that that they're not bringing in Matt Reeves into the DCU. I don't know why people keep pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where that came from. It's just because fan art of him and Cornsweat together that wouldn't work and keep him separate.
And everyone keeps saying, then I keep on hearing saying, "Oh, it makes sense to put them together," or "would make," or the happy like that, or it doesn't make sense, and people are not going to accept there being two different versions. People accept the 3 Spider-Men.
Or how about this? We had Henry Cavill as Superman at the same time as Tyler Hoechlin.
That too, but you get with the Spider-Man. People say, "Oh, you have to wait a long gap." How long did we have to wait between Toby to Andrew and then Andrew to Tom?
Andrew was about 3 years, and by the time, and if you technically 4 for counting the fallout with Sony before the license acquisition with licensing to Marvel for Civil War, so that was technically 3.5 years between Andrew and Tom Holland, but that was mostly on the business side of things. But still, the gap between Spider-Man franchises is about 3 years by the time they came out in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It never ceases to amaze me. Honestly, I'll say right now, Joker should not appear until last movie. Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see Joker be a part of an ensemble in a few sequences like Long Halloween. You could do that too. Do you think Master Freeze would work in this universe? Yeah, I mean, there are ways you could do it.
Yeah.
You'll have to like tone down a lot of the fantastic. Like he's not like jumping by like by making ice sculptures or something like that. But
No.
he could still, because there is like a lot of research and science into like freezing and like frost
Cryogenetics.
Yeah, exactly. So
You wouldn't be
that
able to
exists.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to put him in the iconic exosuit. I mean, you couldn't do it in a grounded setting, and the less said about Batman and Robin, the better. But yeah, the power suit you just wouldn't be able to do in a grounded setting. Or if you did try it, it would be very low bar and it wouldn't satisfy anybody. It would be Titans levels of cringe. Like, could you even imagine a Mr. Freeze exosuit in a grounded setting? It just couldn't be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, in terms of story, in terms of impact, especially BTAS Mr. Freeze, the story is solid. Again, you just wouldn't be able to, I would be able to use the power suit. Or if you did try to use the power suit, you would have to go the Telltales route, where it's just a basic one with an apparatus attached to it. That's the only way you'd be able to pull it off.
I would say so. The Batman fans having a sob story about the Batman being delayed. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman hasn't had anything for years. Wonder Woman fans just another Tuesday. Yeah, I know. Except here's the thing: for the Wonder Woman one is a little bit more of like a legitimate reason. In other words, the movies have to constantly be approved by the Marstons. It's not like this way.
Yeah.
The Canes and the Fingers don't have to approve any Batman scripts.
DC Warner Bros. owns them lock stock.
Yeah, so it's not like they have to do that. Do we want Mr. Freeze? It could work, but I'm saying for the themes of the that were set up in the first movie, I think like well, first off, the screen literally flashes "hush" on the screen, so I'm like, if that's not it, that'd be something. But still,
It would just it wouldn't be a 1-to-1, but if you can do Hush, it would be arguably more akin to Heart of Hush rather than the original mainline year-long event. It would be more akin to Heart of Hush, if that makes sense, in terms of an adaptation.
And obviously, we would cut out the part with Superman. As much as I would love to see Lois thrown off a building in live action, but they're not definitely not. They can't do that because again, Superman. They've established Superman doesn't exist in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they cut out the scene of the two extras in the Superman and Wonder Woman t-shirts.
Right.
What about Bane? Yeah, I mean that could absolute Bane. No, there's no way that's gonna work in this universe.
You want to go to you want to have him have his back broken already?
Well, also it's like, yeah, if we try to absolute Bane, he's a legit monster.
Mhm.
If you use Bane for this, it would just be a retread of Nolan.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm
To
like
where-
they probably wouldn't or shouldn't.
Because Bane is more than just the man who broke the bat. There is more to Bane than that. But that's the most basic use of his character, is basically tying back to Nightfall and No Man's Land. He played a supporting role in No Man's Land, but a lot of his major feats are from Nightfall.
I legit just saw
Right.
someone on Twitter saying the villain should be the Batman who laughs.
No,
No.
that's too cosmic.
No, way too. And plus, no. Will Batman die at the end of the trilogy? No, I think that this will probably move on and like advance him to be like regular Batman.
And Louise, Arkham Origins Bane is just a brute who then gets temporary amnesia by the end.
Well, no,
Yeah.
but I think what he means is how Bane was before he got the drug, because we noticed he was just a big, strong man.
Yeah, and that was the closest they've ever truly gotten to
The perfect Bane adaptation.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that was like legit solid. Dave says Freeze could also be another ensemble villain working for the main villain with his cryogenic technology, similar to Mr. Bloom's cameo in Penguin, but a little more expanded. True.
It could work.
True. Two-Face is possible. Two-Face, I think you could probably do pretty decently with this.
You may have to use a little bit of CGI for his iconic scarring, but other than that,
yeah, because he doesn't exactly have powers or like fantastical elements. That I think you could probably pull off really well.
I'd argue the scarring you could do practically. I'd argue.
Yeah, you most likely could. I think I definitely could. Should DCU Batman have a cloth or spandex suit?
Considering that we're taking fantastical elements into account, it's probably better for it to go at least the armored route, or at the very least have some padding built in. It would just make more sense.
I would say spandex with the armor and stuff. That's what I would say.
Spandex with armor. What do you think, Robert?
I say so.
Yeah, because no costume should be cloth. I got news for you. No movie costume should be cloth. That's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And Louis says, "Oh, Rocksteady Bane was absolutely a brute, but great adaptation, though." Yeah, we all agree on that.
Well, they said specifically the WB Montreal was the great adaptation.
Like the Arkham Origins Bane he gets the drug and becomes like basically the Hulk.
Yep. Yeah, especially with stuff like, once I kill you, I will finally find peace.
Yeah, that's Bane.
Oh, that level was Bane. Hell as a kid. Next to that, in the Killer Croc boss fight, those levels were a nightmare as a kid.
I never had issues with those levels because I paid attention to what the game was telling me to do.
I would say my problem was more the final Bane where he's jacked up, was trying to get the right,
If you do what the game tells you to do,
no. I get that, but it's trying to get the timing, is what I'm saying.
Timing is Achilles' heel.
Yeah,
for that one, for the Killer Croc, nah.
Yeah,
they could.
Yeah, they definitely can. Killer Croc could be cool, but I would say they could. Because here's the thing about Killer Croc: isn't like a version of Killer Croc just to do with his skin condition.
Yeah.
Well, his metagene ties into that, but still.
Yeah, but before that, though, before Hush, he was just a guy with a skin condition, made him look that way, and technically Nolan did it during Gotham Knights.
That is
true. Yeah, because that's canon to the Nolan movie.
Because they kept it to the skin condition. That was it.
Yeah, so there you go.
Earth 1 showed it.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of him eating people, just shave down his teeth into fangs. You're good to go. There you go.
Yeah, you don't just so long as you don't go the whole humongous.
Yes, Cameron, watch Gotham Knights. It's a series of short animes that tie into the Nolan Batman movie.
Well, loosely.
Well, it's an anime-inspired anthology. It's about an hour and a half, but still, it's a good time.
Yeah, could definitely make the scarring look a little
Two-Face.
Yeah, to Two-Face with the burn victim. Yeah, I would say so. Plus, the Batman, the Joker design in that movie at the end with the post-credit scene, that was pretty like.
It was a rush job, you could tell.
Yeah, but you could make it with more time and cash. You can make that work.
I think it was more designed to be hidden more than it was to actually be show. Like it was meant to be in the blur, of the windows. I think that's how that
to be
was
clear,
done.
we don't mean the CW Gotham Knights. Do not watch that.
But
that is hot garbage.
But would you agree? Would you agree with what I just said, JJheat? That I think that makeup design was more designed for the blurry mirrors and windows than it was actually designed for.
Yeah, it was for the
show.
I agree on that, Robert.
Yeah, people keep saying that's what it's meant to be. It's like, no, they're gonna tweak it. That was just meant for the blur.
And to be fair, even spoiler fans think Gotham Knights is garbage.
Oh yeah, because they butcher her character. By the way, will Pattinson get the glider cape, or will he be reserved for DCU Batman? Both can have it. I mean, he kind of had that with the wingsuit, so that's kind of what they were going for.
Yep.
It's not like they have to go with that. And remember, so at this point, Batman's gonna start moving away from being like the vengeance being and being more
I am vengeance.
Yeah, I love it. I'm vengeance. I just love that.
I
That's
am the night.
I am
Batman. Apparently, so so essentially, we're the three Batman. Who are the three Jokers?
Mark Hamill, Troy Baker, and Troy Baker's Joker's not that bad. He's no Mark Hamill, but he's not bad.
Yeah. Heath Ledger.
So what should we move on to next?
All right, so let's change topics.
One more comment. Baby doll can work maybe as a subplot, but she can't carry a full film.
No, not a full movie. Not a full movie.
Cameo for sure. So,
cameo. Oh yeah, definitely a background.
Yeah, exactly. So our next topics include Doomsday Clock, James Bond's new director, or new history of the DC universe.
New history. Let's get that over with and go through that. And I got the scans if you want me to share them.
Sure, we can. And so first off, surprising no one, I want to bring up, yes, again, I got the Wonder Woman cover, which is Hippolyta now. So there you go. Hey, nice. There you go. You got all of them.
I read the issue. I just finished the issue myself, but we'll talk about it first. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep,
so again, so before I share, Robert, explain what this is to people.
Okay. First of all, long ago when the original Crisis ended, they had this.
And he is frozen.
I'm frozen?
Repeat.
Hello.
Repeat.
Hello. I said, when the post-Crisis ended, they did this story, History of the DC Universe, which was meant to explain, because now the worlds were merged, how the history played out and everything. So, and this was the gold standard of it for a long time. Oh, and
he has it autographed.
That's the only one. That's the only one.
Okay.
Now, Mark Waid eventually would then do one for Marvel.
Okay.
But for this, you can show the scan now.
Okay.
But for this, now we've got a proper new history because things have changed so much. Everything's been going like what's canon, what's not, what's New 52, what's post-Crisis, all of that. So it's finally decided, let us, yep, Cameron, a George Perez autograph.
Mm-hmm.
And Jared hates me for it.
Yes, I do. Very much so.
But yeah, so it was decided to finally sit down and get,
What?
Leia Williams doing Gotham City.
This is gonna suck.
Oh no!
They decided to give us a new one, and it's following a similar style. But in this case, they're going to include stuff like Perpetua and everything. But they also start to more include stuff like the Vertigo aspects and everything, the Endless, and then we get a bit about hell and everything. They don't mention the God. Instead, they focus more on the Archangel Michael.
The presence. They don't mention the presence.
They don't mention the presence, but they don't. And instead, they focus on Michael, which, if you ask me, that makes more sense.
Well, plus also is like by implication, if there is like a Michael the Archangel and like the Spectre, the presence exists.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying they don't focus on that. That's all I'm saying.
Not
to be confused with the Phantom Stranger, because at least in DC, the Phantom Stranger is Judas.
Yeah.
Yep. And they also make it very clear about the stuff about how Eclipso was the original God's wrath, but he went overboard and then became
okay
was discarded.
Yeah, discarded and became the Spectre. And then apparently, now this was new for me. The first two sentient races in the universe were the Lords of Order and Chaos. I did not know
Wow,
that.
that's new. There you go.
Is that mentioned in the original one, I wonder?
That
Hold on.
I
might
don't
be.
think so.
Yeah, because this is news to me that they were the first. Yeah, instead they just focus. They focus entirely on Oa being the start of everything.
Well, really, the White Lantern of Light, the white.
Oh yeah, they do keep that. They do keep that.
Mhm.
Volsum and all that. But yeah, they bring up about the Manhunters, and yeah, they bring this up right here. They bring up about the Dark Stars, how the controllers went about, how the Zamorians. We then
The
get
new
now
gods.
here they specify the old gods were old gods of another world. This is why we finally get rid of the whole. Wait, so Zeus and Ares should be dead, right? Made and clarified here that that no, they were the old gods of Ergna and of Ergrund.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which I think that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
And by the way, Dave, I'd separate art from artist personally.
There are some people you can't though.
True, but Wade's
can
writing is
understand
just too good though for me.
Now, I will say the best part of this issue.
We're getting to it. We're getting to it. We get the
Get to it. You don't have to go through the whole thing.
Okay, but I'm just saying they bring up that Eclipso did the flood.
That was something where when I read that, I'm like, oh, that's clever.
Yep, and then we also get the whole different forms of Atlantis. So apparently Atlantis was the first bit of life, earliest civilization.
That's kind of cool.
And the flood of Atlantis was caused by Eclipso, apparently, the Great Deluge.
Yep. And basically, then we had the Poseidians keep their legs. The Tritarians became mer people, and then we have the Sharktaris.
So I take it that means that Lori is a
She's a Poseidon. I know a Tritarian.
Okay, that makes
The
sense. That's kinda cool.
Poseidon is Aquaman.
Okay, that works.
Which this was stuff that was established.
And by the way, Cameron asked, so are Olympians aliens?
No.
No, it's just the gods that the new gods replaced are not like Zeus and Ares and all that stuff.
Yeah, none of them. None of that.
It's a different
Nor are they Kryptonians.
No, they're not.
But yeah, then we get the whole Vandal and we have Answer running around. We have Vandal Savage and Immortal Man. I did not know Immortal Man was tied into with Vandal.
And the Amazons have the post-crisis George Perez origin, which is what they always should have.
Agreed. The Well of Souls and everything. Which, to be fair, they've kept that for the most part.
No, but the Amazons not being like this basically gets completely rid of and retcons out the new 52 Amazons BS.
Which, yeah, but
mythical accuracy aside, they just turned New 52 Wonder Woman into Woman Kratos. That's pretty much all they did.
They didn't.
Okay.
Yep. We get the New 52 take on Shazam. We even get a bit about the Scarab ending up in the past.
Wait, so Adam, so Teth was like, so he originally got the powers and it's supposed to be called Mighty Adam. But then, like, because he got like corrupted, or he corrupted it, that's why they call him Black Adam.
We have the New 52 Wizard, but they kept the post-crisis Test Adam.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, that's what they chose to keep. And hold on, I'm just checking one thing quickly. Oh, by the way, we do get a bit more details in the background.
Yeah.
We get the Nanda Parat, we get everything with Hawkman and Hawkgirl. When we get the all the stuff with King Arthur, we get Nimue becoming Madame Xanadu. We have Morgan Le Fay looking how like she looked like in the Trinity book.
Yeah,
the good one.
The good one, not the crappy one by Tom King.
Yeah, but the Demon Knights are kept canon. Thank you.
Yes, I love that. That was a good book.
We get about the Mobius chair. We get everything. Ra's al Ghul, Gorilla City. We start to get some of the more pirate stuff, which then, of course, lead into Shade and Frankenstein. We get some of the old Western type of thing. We get Icon. Icon.
Yeah, okay.
Now here's the one that I want to know. I thought the Milestone universe was supposed to be a separate universe. How is Icon around?
Now, to be fair, they had when Milestone originally started to go under, they did consolidate into DC.
For a point, but then afterwards that got removed, and then the current Milestone is separate.
But wasn't it like because they relaunched Milestone Comics with DC?
That was separate. That was still separate. Because
Okay.
don't you remember, during a recent story, Brainiac came to their world. They made it clear it was coming to their universe.
Okay, I feel like the best way you could explain this is that basically Milestone characters we're more familiar with from the animated cartoons, like Static
This
Shock.
version, the original Milestone, not the reboot, which they have made clear the original Milestone still exists.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, we have Max Mercury, and we get the rest of the Old West characters, Kongorilla, and then we get Dream being captured. We get Sandman giving the vision the whole what Neil Gaiman set up that Wesley Dodd had gotten a vision of Dream, and that's what encouraged him. We have the Black Hawks, we have the JSA.
There you go.
And we get Hippolyta joining. They don't go into further detail than just she did.
All right, as long as Wonder Woman is not old as dirt, I'm fine.
Yep. Dave, no. They have never bought out Milestone, ever.
There were attempts to fully integrate Milestone corporately into DC, but every deal, especially after McDuffie's passing, RIP, just about every deal fell through.
So, but they also are aware they're so tied into DC, they can't leave either.
So it's kind of a corporate limbo, basically, to where they just pay, DC just pays the licensing fee to Milestone, and then they use them whenever they want.
Yep. And let them print their books. But we get all the stuff with all the kid heroes.
That works. I like that.
That's just a glorified recap of Stargirl. Well, prior to their displacement in Stargirl: The Lost Children.
Same artist.
Yep, exactly.
Then we get everything with the original Guardian, Sargon, basically all the Golden Age.
Yeah, it's all the Golden Age of DC, all the World War II stuff with like Easy Company and Sergeant Rock.
Megaton, the magic users. Well, Dan Garrett technically was a magic user because he couldn't get the Scarab to work for him.
Yep. There's the original Mr. Miracle.
Yep.
So in other words, before, the one on Earth before Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And they're ignoring that one miniseries that had him be black.
Okay, I remember that.
Yep.
I beg your pardon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't know about the Source of Freedom?
No, I'm playing this as a joke. Hence why I'm
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nice to
Yep. Then we have the start of the Silver Age, and they actually kept the Superman project from Doomsday Clock.
Though using John Jones's origin from New Frontier, nice.
Well, that was always his origin anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. And then what?
Few tweaks here and there over the years.
I'm not a fan of the Superman project thing. I mean, at least they're giving it a setup here.
Yep. I mean, as far as we know and seen, so all this gets us is the Doom Patrol started, the Metal Men, Firestorm, and Metamorpho. That's it.
But then it's like, wasn't Superman? But wouldn't that also make Superman kind of a derivative name then?
And no, it's just a project name, and it's not like the public knew about it. And it's not like Lois knew and then named him, or he named himself it.
In some versions, she gives him
not
the
a
name.
fan of that.
In some versions, Lois gives Clark the name Superman. Other versions, Clark, the name kind of sticks. It just depends which version you prefer.
Yeah, but that's what would make it derivative. If someone intentionally knew about this project and named it. Just having it exist before he showed up, no, it's fine.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yep, and then we get the this is where we get stuff filled in then about the Lords of Chaos and all that. We get the stuff about Volsum, Doomsday. Yep. Agog.
Yeah, there's much more stuff.
Batman in the past. Yeah.
But let's see. All right, so moving back here. So let's see this. They should do a story where Jor-El and Thomas Wayne were the first Superman and Batman. No, I'm not a fan of that.
They would have no reason to
She's
interact.
not reduced to a legacy character, NJ. She is not. She's not reduced to a legacy character.
Can I point something out to NJ?
Yeah.
NJ. Wonder Woman was a title given to Diana after she completed the trial to leave. Usually the sense to take Steve back home or whatnot. It was always a mantle that any Amazon could have been given.
After all, when they gave it to Artemis, Artemis was Wonder Woman.
Exactly. It's always a title given to an Amazon who's leaving the island for a mission. Always.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm like, no, I'm not a real fan of that.
Now, it would be a legacy if they coexisted, which they did for a brief time. Yes, the president. Oh, sorry.
Yes, the presence.
Yes, he's just not directly shown.
Yeah, you don't have to because Wade is leaving it up. If Michael and like the Spectre exist, and Spectre is the presence's wrath. Yeah, the
he exists. It's kind of one without the other. You don't need the presence physically shown.
Because remember, Wade only has so much page real estate.
Yeah, that's why they have all these backup, this text at the very end.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all meant to fill in all the other gaps that he wasn't able to go over.
Not to mention the presence has only had a handful of appearances directly in comics. He's been alluded to a bunch, but he's only had like 3 physical comic appearances, if I remember. At least with the presence in a physical form. He's had at least 3.
Mm-hmm.
Should Donna Troy grow up and adopt Wonder Woman like how Sue Storm went from Invisible? No, because she's not Wonder Woman.
No, she's not. She's Donna. She was Wonder Girl and then Donna Troy because she didn't need a secret identity.
Technically, Troya, that's her official hero name, but they just stick to Donna Troy for simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but it's technically Troya.
Oh wait, something I just realized. Technically, they're now calling because of the recent JSA book. The original there was a spinoff called Justice Society Dark.
Oh, so because there's a Justice League Dark, there has to be a
That's the
Justice
magic user. I like that Lemire did that because Lemire's the one who worked on Justice League Dark back in the day.
Lemire's pretty good. I can't take that from him.
I like that idea.
I'm not a fan of because there has to be a Justice League Dark. There must be a Justice Society Dark. No, I'm not a fan.
I would have given it a different name, maybe the Sentinels.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That it feels derivative from a creative perspective.
True.
It seems to me like Lemire wants to write Justice League Dark, but he's writing the Justice Society. So he's like, "What can I do? Justice Society Dark."
I think it's more of a case he wanted to come up with a case of having all their magical users teamed up.
And call it a different name. That's my thing. Isn't Undergirl and Fantalizing name? Well, how about pick a different, give them a new name and like abandon the Wonder Girl thing, or like just have Cassie Wonder. Oh, have Donna be Troya. There you go.
But that's why.
Yeah, but anytime the name Troy is used, it's usually a Donna who turns evil.
Not necessarily. I personally hate how DC does the whole, this character's most powerful being, both powerful being in the presence. When have they ever done that?
They have never said anyone's more powerful than the presence. They just simply have never had the presence show up.
For future reference, the presence is God.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, the closest they've come is even let me put it this way. I think ever since it was made clear that the source creates the universes, the source answer to the present. The sources or the hands are above all.
Mm-hmm.
Can we agree to that? Like, it's quite clear the hands are above all. Then in their own universes, they have their own thing. And I think that's why they're having Michael be in there, because the present is beyond the multiverse. But within this universe, you had Michael and Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That way you don't have to be, well, wait, what about God and all the other views? No, the God is above all, and within each universe, Michael represents
So you could
God.
say he's a one above all?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying Michael represents most roles God has, or the present has, in the universe, because the present it's above the multiverse.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that's convoluted to say.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing on that. It's like, and then going back to like Wonder Girls. Yeah, I'm fine being called a boy or something like that. But what I'm gonna say is like, even on that, okay, if you don't want what I call Donna Wonder Girl, which I believe they haven't in a while, don't just give her a new name. That's it. But but the only person that should ever be Wonder Woman, unless it's a story in the distant future, is Diana. I'm just gonna tell you that right there. Not even Artemis. Is Immortal Man was always the first husband of Hippolyta before she became an Amazon, or was he a new character?
No. Not much is known about Hippolyta's old life prior to being reincarnated as an Amazon.
Maybe he was the caveman.
Yeah.
He was just a random caveman, but I don't think the caveman was ever named.
No, I mean, some have implied it might have been Vandal, but I doubt it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I'm looking up right now, and no, there was the original Greek myth that was Theseus, but I don't think that was that. It was just someone else. She was pregnant. She died. Baby died with her, and when she was reborn, she felt that emptiness. That's it. And then even then, the baby does not have the genes of the father.
No. And then Zeus blessed. Then when she became Hippolyta, Zeus blessed her with Diana. Now, that's the mainline George Perez post-crisis version. Now, technically, in Crisis on Infinite Earths, I want to say it was Earth 2 Wonder Woman technically gets reincarnated into her post-crisis self. It might have been Earth 1 Wonder Woman. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, it bleeds directly into the Perez run post-crisis, where she literally becomes part of the lightning that Zeus blesses the clay model from.
Right. By the way, Luis's comment?
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I remember how that's how Perpetua was introduced. No.
He was a member of the Hands, which is representing of the Source.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And the Source is then made clear to be that they work for the present. So no, she was just representing to be above all else beneath the present.
And then Perpetua decided to break the rules and create her own vanity project. And then the Forger, Anti-Monitor, and the Monitor turned on her when they realized she was going too far.
Yep. And
that's basically the premise.
Yep. And the random
Hippolyta should never have a husband. Her wife should be Philippus, and Philippus is only. Well, okay.
I mean, we're alluding to who Hippolyta was reincarnated from.
Yeah.
Because she was technically a separate being during the caveman or chronostasis period.
Yeah, exactly.
Once she becomes Hippolyta, again, it's an island of all women. I don't even think, unless we're counting the New 52 origin, I don't even think once she becomes Hippolyta, she's ever even seen a man again until Steve Trevor and Diana's origin after that. Unless, like I said, unless we're counting the New 52. So,
oh boy, I just realized something. Wade's gonna make or break Jason, as in Diana's brother.
Oh yeah,
it could go either way. Because mythological. Okay, this also ties back to why we end up using mythically accurate Thor in New Direction verse, because in the Azzarello run, I could be wrong, but in the Azzarello run, they actually did tie into Greek myth where they were basically tempters or suitor or sirens, and any child that was born male was cast down to work or serve Hephaestus. And that led to the whole first son storyline, and then Jason. Depending on how Mark Waid wants to go with it, this could go one or two ways. Either Jason still carries over as Diana's twin brother, but she was cast down to Hephaestus, likely in an attempt to protect him from Hera's wrath, or they're just going to ignore the first son stuff altogether.
I think they're going to ignore the first son stuff altogether, personally.
More than likely.
No, Jason, he will surely use the clay origin Sonosa sibling specifically for dance, specifically when it's used. It's not useless.
Jason, I'll admit, Jason was a glorified plot device. I'll openly admit that, but I wouldn't call him useless. He played.
No, he wasn't.
He has more of a use to Wonder Woman than Trinity does. Corey
now,
says,
if you want to argue a purely useless character, I would say that's Simon Baz, because he's just a glorified plot device for the first Lantern.
Yeah.
Again, JJheat. In the Justice League Yakuza League special features, they referred to him as Jessica Cruz's sidekick.
Yeah.
Like legit. So the character designer was talking about like doing research. He said about DC specifically requested that Cruz be the Green Lantern. So he didn't know about the character. So he went in and did like research.
You know, I'll bring
He
this
literally
up.
said, I discovered she has a sidekick named Simon Bass.
Yep.
Oh my God, that was great. I laughed out loud so bad. So the
Wait, are you saying the Gornataeans, like the race that conquered the Tamaranians, or are you saying the Guardians, Cameron? Please clarify. Because I think he's saying the Gornataeans.
You can keep Jason. Because I got news here. I'm fine with like let me put it this way. I think the story is more interesting if we're going down the road to Wonder Woman having kids, to Wonder Woman to have a son. It's too obvious. Of course, she has a daughter.
I mean, if you wanted to create a replacement or pseudo super son trifecta, I mean, there was plans to actually have it be Scott and Big Barda's child. At least there was some setup for that. Trinity, in a way, just comes out of nowhere. Oh wait, random insurgents as Garganians.
Oh, the male Amazon.
Oh, the Olympians.
Okay.
The Olympians.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, they are the male Amazon tribe. Yeah, they reference it once in the Simone run, from what I remember.
Yeah,
briefly
referencing
Simone.
Yeah.
But Dave, it's referencing Simon. He's a Green Lantern with a gun and a ski mask. Yeah,
Wait,
exactly.
what?
Exactly.
Actually, also, I just double checked. Apparently, Jason is back on the board, just no one has used him since. Steve Orlando, in his second to last issue, brought him back, trying to be used by the Dark Fates, those beings that fell out were coming from No Justice. But they did. But he refused to do anything to his sister, and then they just didn't do anything because after that,
Justice League No Justice, Jason got shelved after Justice League No Justice.
No, I'm saying no, but he's brought back to the main universe. They just haven't done anything with him since, as opposed to where he was sent off to before.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up, Robert.
That makes sense. So let's transition to another topic. So James Bond or Doomsday Clock?
You guys decide. Doomsday Clock.
All right, so we're comparing Doomsday Clock to the Watchmen TV show. But by the way, Cameron, it will be 4 issues as far as I know for the history, right, Robert? Yep, and it's probably signed because Robert is.
Nope. Okay.
No, finally, you don't have something.
No, I haven't met Gary Frank, and I haven't met Jeff Johns.
He follows me on Instagram.
All right, but still.
Yeah,
I got the Absolute Edition.
I know.
That still beats your one done in one trade.
I prefer my done in one trade. But see, now here's the thing. Of course. So when I'm reading Doomsday Clock, see, both the show and Doomsday Clock are sequels to the book to Watchmen, right? Sequels.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Now, JJheat, have you watched the show?
Yes. And
I rewatched it recently. So good to have someone else who's seen it, because now let me put it this way: does this Doomsday Clock work as a sequel? Hard to say.
No. Neither of these work as sequels, from what I hear.
Not really. This is a great Superman story.
Yeah, because it establishes that Superman is the central figure to the DC universe.
I would say the start of it, where people found out about what Ozzy did and it's going to cause a nuclear war, makes sense. It was more likely to happen. Having Reggie, the son of the psychiatrist, picking up the mantle, makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of the starting point made sense, but there was one big problem: how Dr. Manhattan's powers work.
But Luis, Alan Moore seething right now.
You don't even care anymore.
Well, let me put it this way: after what Robert told me off stream about Alan Moore, I don't care if he's seething. Anyway, go on, Robert.
As I was saying, I shattered you. I shattered you with that. But as I was saying, but for one, Manhattan cannot see the entire universe. He can only see everything that he is perceiving when he is there, or from things he has heard or been told about or acknowledged about. he cannot see the greater over universe without him being there. That is how his powers work. Not this, oh, I can see what effect my actions are having without having being there. Who said he's joking, Luis?
Mm-hmm. I just I know. Yeah, we're making a joke about that.
Yeah, but yeah, and thus, and him able to change history, he always felt he couldn't change it.
And yet, that's how the New 52 got started.
Yeah, Jeff,
that's literally how it happens.
I know. And don't get me and now. Again, there are some interesting things like Marionette and Mime. Those feel like they could fit right in the universe.
Yeah, and to be clear, the Superman theory, like hypothesis thing that's advancing this, a lot of the backstory and like stuff that is cool. It's just it wasn't set up.
No, it was not. Well, now it is.
Well, yeah, but still, it's like these events don't happen.
Where did you now? What were you, JJheat? Where's your stance for also on it?
As direct follow-up, not so much sequels, but they work as follow-ups to the main conflict in Watchmen.
Yeah, well, yeah. Just keep the Doomsday Clock for a second.
Okay, let's stick with Doomsday Clock. As for Doomsday Clock, it works for what it is, adding consequence and even tying a little bit into Dr. Manhattan creating the New 52. It works, but Doomsday Clock, for all intents and purposes, is a Superman story first and foremost.
Yeah.
Yep. But I will say though, I think it resolved a lot of the characters way better here. It actually gave a happy ending to Watchmen, and Manhattan's demise at the end made more sense and felt like it was a sacrifice. Oh, and NJ has a question.
Yeah, NJ says it's
not even close.
No. Adam Eve is not a reality warper in any sense of the word.
Well, let me put it this way. So Robert, explain to me again. So, Dr. Manhattan can be present
only at places. No, he's aware of everything where he is at all time. That's why, like, it's 1964. I'm here. It's 1985. I'm here because he's existing anywhere and everywhere all at once. To quote the movie.
No, but he can still, like, he's aware of, like, everything. In other words, he's technically, it's not time travel, but it's kind of time travel.
It's quantum theory of how he exists at every moment of his existence.
Yeah.
But he is not omnipotent. He's not omnipotent.
But what you described to me, that's not Adam Eve. No way.
No.
Adam Eve has a very powerful healing factor and can make constructs.
Yeah, exactly. She's a lot like a supercharged Green Lantern.
Yeah, exact. Without him, even without the mental limitations.
Even without them. I mean, yeah, exactly. I like Doomsday Clock was a good crossover with Watchmen overall and a very good minor DC retcon event. It would have been, it could have been a lot better. And you could tell they were trying, because you could tell this was what Rebirth was originally leading to. But then again, it took forever to come out, and they had to know what the marching orders are. So we got the Batman Who Laughs instead.
And then Dan DiDio sees an opportunity to chase the all different Marvel bandwagon with 5G. That ended up imploding before anything got off the ground. And then we had 2 years of relative limbo, not counting those 2 months of Future State. And we've technically been stuck in this rut for the past 5 years. Even Comic Story and RIP openly admitted that if 5G had gone through, it would have tanked the entire brand.
Oh yeah. Everything they wanted to do, there's no way. Because again, what's one of the things I say, gentlemen, that you can't replace Clark, Bruce, and Diana as Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman?
For a story, yes.
For a story, yes. But this was going to be the main universe. You cannot do that.
5 years at least.
Here's the thing. This was all new, all different DC.
Yeah, and they pointed it when it happened. I don't know why he decided, it must have worked for them. From what I understood,
it got a lot of attention. It chased headlines, but commercially, and especially with the reader audience, this tanked within the span of a year. And
I'll be honest, I think this was another desperate ploy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But
Cameron says, by the way, is it possible for Doomsday Clock to get animated?
It'll never get an adaptation. It's too complicated.
No one's interested in it anyway. But now as for the show, the show had a lot of potential. When my friend Alex and I were watching it, first 5 episodes were actually really good, expanding the world and everything. Could you at least agree to that, JJheat? Before the big retcon flashback
it had
episode,
potential.
the first 5 were actually really good.
Yeah,
What's
because
the
you
big retcon.
Oh yeah, okay, I'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
But for one of the big of divergence in Doomsday Clock, Dan and Laurie are still happy together and have a kid. In this one, Laurie becomes more like her real dad. Becomes more cynical, more like the comedian and everything. She and Dan are broken up. She's helping take down vigilantes, all that, and things such as that. And I will say this: the one thing that still floored me when they opened up was the Tulsa massacre. I didn't know it was real. I thought they were making shit up because it just seemed way too over the top, and then you find out, what? It's real.
Yeah.
what would you say was worse, the Watchmen retcon or the Timeless Children?
Oh, you're talking about Doctor Who? Oh, but I'll be honest, the Timeless Child, because that's still going on.
Yeah, that was god awful.
This is irrelevant. The Watchmen one. But okay, here's the big retcon. Okay, Jared, you've read Watchmen, correct?
I know the story. I haven't gone through the entire
movie watcher.
Shut up.
You know about Hooded Justice? The first vigilante.
Yeah.
And everywhere in the main book, it was implied to be this Nazi sympathizer and all that. Who just loved beating up people, was in a gay relationship with Captain Metropolis. Captain Metropolis was in it to be a legitimate hero. Of course, and before Watchmen, it was revealed it wasn't this guy. It was totally someone else who might have been the guy's son and all that.
Okay.
Well, here, it's a black man. A black man who's posing like a white guy so no one would know it's him because his parents were killed in the Tulsa massacre. He wanted to be a cop to try and defend things. Found out being a black cop was not going to get him anywhere. So he decided to wear a mask as he nearly got hung, hence the news to do that. And turns out in this version, Captain Metropolis and most of the Minutemen were in it for the glory. Metropolis especially, and Captain Metropolis like, he like begging them. It's like, oh, don't tell the others. They're not as tolerant as I am. And yet, when told, the Cyclops group called Cyclops, which was supposed to be a spin-off of the KKK, but they used mind control. He tried to call him to deal with it. He's like, Metropolis like, mind control? Oh, come off it. Basically, totally dismissing him. He gave no crap about what was going on there and all this other stuff. It was like, really? Really? You're basically going to be like, because they never fully confirmed who, even though Moore helped out with the Watchmen source book, which did confirm it was that Nazi sympathizer. Oh, and how did Damon Lindelof say that? He said, all that German Nazi stuff. Oh, that was just, he just made it up to keep his cover. People would think he was a white man. Oh, and they revealed he had white makeup on, flesh makeup on.
So he did white face, is what you're telling me.
Well, at least around the eyes. But yes.
I say this now, we are so demonetized.
I'm sorry. Hey, we had to talk about it.
All right.
But that's not
real quick. Here's my opinion of that.
It gets worse.
Yes,
it does.
It gets worse.
It gets so much worse.
Go on.
Okay, next retcon, or more of a reveal. Apparently, Angela, a character who I liked Angela. Did you, JJheat? I liked her.
Did. Yeah, she's cool.
Up until it was revealed, they finally towards the end gave her Mary Sue stuff because she's the third and true love of Dr. Manhattan, who decides to take on a human mortal form to be with her. Not Laurie, not Sally, Angela.
Which just felt tacked on to me.
And but apparently she knew the whole time of the whole
so
theory.
You're telling me Lindelof had to Lindelof is what you're telling me.
Oh, I got another one that actually is even worse than both of these. Because it really makes Adrian Veidt the biggest idiot in the world. but here, and then I'll get to the coup de grace afterward. But then we also find out there's a villain going on named Miss Tyre. She is, or Lady True. She is the daughter. We found out the daughter of Ozymandias. But you want to know how that happened? Okay, need I remind you, what happened to anyone who worked for Ozzy before he executed the plan? Anyone who would know the secret and could
They all
blast.
got killed, right?
Exactly. Well, during the day he was recording a confession, not confession, but a video to Robert Redford that was supposed to be revealed years later about, like, I know what, you got elected because of me and everything, and where he confessed what he did. Convenient. Turns out one of the Vietnamese cleaning ladies went into his office. No one's paying attention, no guard. I mean, I can kind of believe. She knows his code. If Dan can figure it out, so could she. Opens up a secret ward and he keeps all of his fluids, if you know what I mean. Uses it for whatever reason, uses it for his legacy or something, uses it to impregnate herself, and then leaves. She leaves the building. He never looked, and he does know who she was and everything, and yet never hunted her down to kill her. She's the only one who survived because she walked out.
Oh my god.
Jay, would you agree? That is the dumbest.
So you're telling me the creative of that is working with Tom King on Lanterns?
Why do you
I
think
could not make that joke live? I'm sorry. You set me up for it perfectly. I could not make that joke live.
But JJheat, would you agree that was the worst of the retcon?
Okay.
Because would you agree, though? That was even worse.
It's a stupid retcon, but the set, but
Ozzy, sorry.
It's a dumb retcon, but it set me up perfectly.
Yeah. But would you agree though with that though? That of the 3 retcons or changes, that was the worst because it makes Ozzy the biggest idiot. That a man who meticulously made sure anyone that worked for him was dead. Just completely ignored the cleaning lady.
Well, she was cleaning up a mess. I'm sorry.
God damn it, Jay!
You're on a roll.
You set me up perfectly.
Okay, do that clip again, dude. Do the clip again.
Which clip?
The Jameson.
The psychos just keep getting younger.
Please let me go for 3. Let me go for 3.
You want the coup de grace? Apparently, out of the blue, it's revealed that John could have passed his powers on to anyone by putting it into a bit of organic matter for them to consume, just so they can set up Angela. And now, by this point, they're like, oh, he could have done so much more with his powers. This racist or this narcissist want to use it, but they should. Oh, but Angela, because she's pure, it's setting up that she's going to be the next Manhattan. We never see her do it, but it's all set up to basically clear she can she can do what he wouldn't do.
So you're saying John broke the Matrix?
No, that's funny.
It's a little weak, but it gets
I'm not a.
And here's the point,
so glad I didn't watch this crap.
It started strong. It started very strong.
Let me put it this way: when Lindelof starts changing stuff, that's when you know you've lost.
I know, and because those first 5 episodes, it felt like he was naturally expanding on the world.
Yeah, it's just then he starts changing stuff. So again, JJheat, isn't it great that him and Tom King are tackling the Green Lanterns?
No.
I know, right? It's so good. This definitely won't be to quote Tevia, a train wreck.
No, I'm responding to Dave's comment.
No.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know, to be fair though, Chris Mundy is the showrunner, so let's see if he can actually keep them in line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I know I was reaching for that third one. I was reaching. I'll admit that.
Yeah, but I think though he could keep them in line for all we know. I mean, he's worked on Criminal Minds and True Detective.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Dave, the fact that Lindelof is doing Lantern Show. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if they make. You can't make Hal Jordan Parallax because you would be rushing it.
No, they're
Yeah.
gonna. I think they're gonna do that because they want Jon Stewart to be the main Green Lantern on the Justice League.
I don't think so. I'm less thinking that.
They already did
Why
that.
would
once
they cast an old guy as Hal Jordan?
Older, wiser, more mature.
But that's not what Hal Jordan is known for.
Exactly.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
He's known for being a hot shot.
Particularly in a universe where they're making an effort to cast younger actors for the characters that are going to stick around.
By the way, another show, I've never watched it, but apparently Chris Mundy was the showrunner on the show, Netflix show called Ozark. Anyone seen that one?
I've seen Ozark. It's
So, yeah, he was
good. It falls
was
off
the-
by the end, but it's pretty good.
So, but yeah, he was the showrunner of that. Is that a good sign?
It could go either really good or really bad.
All right.
Because, man, Ozark falls off in the last 2 seasons. It falls off a cliff.
So he can't stick the landing, in other words.
He can't stick the landing. Great buildup, great momentum. Can't stick the landing on a series finale to save his life.
Apparently Jason Bateman worked on that show a lot.
Yeah, it was. You could tell there was a clash of egos on that project. You
Mhm.
could just tell. The moment
Oh.
Bateman wasn't getting his way, it was a dirt show.
Yeah. Oh, so it's an irony story. He directed episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm so glad I didn't. This makes Doomsday Clock look like a masterpiece.
I still say this. Laurie does arrest Adrian at the end, but he thought, "Oh, you're gonna arrest the president too? Sure, why not? It'll be the end of the world. At least here we know for a fact things are, have a happy ending." Also, John does die in the dumb way, and at least here he sacrificed himself.
Mhm.
Oh,
To reincarnate. Well, he technically reincarnates into a Clark variant, but still.
Yep. And well, that's true, but still. And he had one other thing I did kind of appreciate, and well, no, I don't not appreciate, I couldn't stand, was during the John episode, they kept relying too much. They took one moment, which was towards the end of the book, which the whole sorry, Rorschach, I was just talking to Laurie a few minutes ago. Acting like he could actually talk, interact. He only did that because of the tachyons messing things up. That wasn't a normal thing where he would interact simultaneously with another moment. They made that a regular thing to the point where while he was at the same time talking to Angela, he was in the past talking to her grandfather and actually at the moment of, ask him this. Here's a question. I didn't know that. Crap, I just started a chicken eggs in that situation.
Yeah.
Or grandfather's paradox, if you will.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, let's move on to our last topic of the night. So, James Bond finally has the director.
The Dune director.
The Dune.
And
That's
Blade Runner.
honestly a choice that I didn't see coming, but actually works really well.
Yep. Do you want to answer NJ's question, by the way?
What's your take on fans losing their minds on DCU? Every version of Superman has had an emotional moment like that. So let me put it this way. If anyone's having an issue with that, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Robert, every version of Superman has done that. If you threaten someone close to Superman, he goes full red eyes on you.
I've seen some people say, oh, but Reeves was actually much calmer when he approached
No.
Whoa,
Reese was a crash out.
Wait. May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
He kicked down the door and walked up to Lex, and he wasn't yelling at him because all Lex did was make a threat on the city. So he's like, what'd you say? So he didn't even know what the threat was. This is personal. His dog was taken, and given how battered he was, I bet you that's the fight where the teeth knocking out scene happened, and it ended with Crypto getting taken.
Like I said, Reeves was a crash out. DCAU Superman, well, he wasn't really a he only lashed out at Darkseid specifically for his brainwashing for the events of Legacy. And
the alternate version, the Justice Lord version would count.
Okay, I'll give you that variant, but I'll give you that.
Yeah, too many people compare him to Reeves, and I go, just stop with.
Reeves
flew around the earth. Not you, Robert. Reeves flew around the earth many times to save Lois Lane. Reeves beat up a dude in a restaurant that showed him up to Lois.
Now, I was going to say was, okay, first of all, I'm a Reeves fan, Cameron, so please don't back a little. He's still my gold standard.
No, but what he's saying is like, he's not talking about you, Robert, obviously. He's talking about the people that worship at the feet of Reeves.
And I agree they go overboard. Some of them go overboard, but I do see other people get called stands just for liking Reeves. That's why I'm looking at that, because it's like...
But we're not calling you that.
Right. But hey, as I say but I was just using the Reeves comparison. People saying you're there against David. I was trying to bring that up, saying he was stoic and didn't lose his cool against Lex. I'm like, because
every Superman has done that.
Yeah, I know. I was saying the context was different. Lex just made a threat against the city, a vague threat. So all Superman wanted to know was, what's that you said about attack bombing the city? To which Lex said it was a bluff, of course. But with this scene, he took his dog. And the only thing is,
don't you think Superman is much more emotional? Well, first off, here's the other thing: it's a younger Superman.
Yeah,
Reeves was like an older man. You know what I mean by that? Right. When he became Superman, Clark he's only been Superman for like 3 years, and he's like early 20s. Of course, he's gonna be more emotional.
Exactly. It's his dog.
Yeah.
I would argue My Adventures of Superman Clark is more emotional, and he's a glorified himbo. That's the Lois Lane show in all but name, but still, in my Adventures, he's just a himbo.
But it says My Adventures.
Yeah, it's still a Lois Lane show, but at least it's an ensemble. It doesn't completely revolve around Lois. That's arguably that show's saving grace.
Right. But anyway, back to Bond. I see Dave has a comment about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm convinced he's not. He's a good. I'm not convinced a good choice. Is Brent Brothers hero because not necessarily. Dune was good. He also has a very good visual eye.
And here's the other thing: he is a fan, and he has not shown to be that much of a deconstructor in that regard. Yeah, deconstructionist. He has said he's a fan of it. He likes Casino Royale and Skyfall, and he said he's watched so many Bonds since as far back as Dr. No. Not saying he was around back then, and all that, but and then you have and it also depends on the direction that Amazon wants to go. I think we can all agree though they're not going to want to do a wash, rinse, repeat of Craig.
No,
they want a universe. I think,
but James Bond is. I'm not going to say you can't get a James Bond cinematic universe off the ground.
Oh, no, you could.
It's just, if you're actually going to commit, especially if you're using the Marvel formula, you have to commit to the same version, the same actor for an extended period of time. The average series or the average actor in a James Bond gig is 2, maybe 3 films over the course of 6 years, on average.
Yeah, I wonder if Eve tests from agrees.
Oh, yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
And yes, I am excited for that game. Yes.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
the tone I want. Something that's closer to the Brosnan era. The Brosnan era should be the standard of what the Bond tone should be. A good balance between, and I mean the better ones like GoldenEye and World's Not Enough. A good balance between drama and corniness, but not going overboard.
Yeah, the later films go overboard. Not so much on the swab, but definitely on the corniness.
And another thing is, I don't want Bond to be a one-woman man like he was during Craig.
What? James Bond is notoriously known for being a womanizer.
Yeah, exactly. He's the Zeus of the spies. By the way, Craig, real quick, I will say this: didn't he do one of the Sicario movies?
He did.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's how he handles because here's the thing about this. First off, he's a fan, as you have said, Robert. That automatically gives in modern media, that automatically gives me hope. Also, I've seen him do similar projects to this where he's done a lot of that grounded stuff like Sicario. I think he could really do a really good job with this.
And look at Martin Campbell, Martin Campbell doing GoldenEye. I think that's what we're going to probably get. I think we're going to get a GoldenEye out of the director.
Mm-hmm.
And here's something else. Did you know he was originally tapped to do No Time to Die, but he said no, he wanted to do Dune?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Actually, Jared, Austin Powers is likely the Zeus of super spies.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying of the serious spies, Bond gets a new girlfriend every single movie.
But you compared him to Zeus. But if you're making that comparison, especially with
I know, JJheat. I know, JJheat.
Random comment.
That's Austin Powers, hands down.
Ram says, "How will Emmy appear?" Well,
when did he ever say he was?
It was rumored that he is the favorite to play James Bond from Paramount.
From Paramount? That's nothing to do with it.
I mean, whoever is
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say this. I can accept a black actor as Bond by this point. Oh, woman? No. No Jamie Bond, and I don't think anyone will accept that.
Even Gal Gadot, when she was doing like press for the for her spy movie Heart of Stone, she says, "You shouldn't just gender bend everyone. Just give women who their own character."
Exactly. That's how we got what was that one movie? Blonde or Bombshell or something, or you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Exactly.
oh, by the way, should we use this? Can we bring one quick topic I want to bring up?
Sure.
The correction on the Ultimate stuff. Since we brought it up once before.
Yes. Go ahead.
It's not. They're not ending in a couple of issues. That was a miscommunication or something because Peach Momoka's husband came out and said, "No, I don't know where they got that from. It ain't happening. It's whenever Hickman chooses to end it."
Mm-hmm.
And well, yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're near the end of phase 1.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Probably like the first. They'd be stupid to just can it then, because the Ultimate Universe, while every book hasn't been like firing on all cylinders, they're mostly great.
Yep.
And they're selling well. So why would I mean, this is Marvel we're talking about, and they make stupid decisions literally every day. But I'm like, this is one decision I don't think they would do, particularly after all the promo and all the work they put into the Ultimate Universe. Let me just say, Hickman's not going to let this thing nuke again.
No.
He's not going to have a repeat of the X-Men. What do you think, JJheat?
Yeah, it's a coin flip. It could go either really well or really bad. I'm going to just be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way since we have brought it up before. Oh,
yeah.
And here's something else. I just got word about from my LCS owner about the fate of Diamond.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, he believes from everything that's being shown there, and the people who now own him, who own NECA, the NECA figures, are pulling out. They're pulling out of doing comics and just doing toys. They just bought Diamond for their warehouse and distribution stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they own the copyright and trademark to Free Comic Book Day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, DC and the others could probably work together and come up with something so they don't call it Free Comic Book Day. They'll use the initials, which they could. And because I think something's going to happen up again. But this basically is going to be a death sentence for a lot of small publishers. Not the big one. And he also told me they're probably going to be readjusting. Like Lunar especially is going to take some time trying to adjust to the new bigger orders and everything. Random House seems to be doing a lot better, but
I did miss this one, but Louis wants to ask, what's your favorite James Bond game?
No, Everything or Nothing. Because that was, for me, that was Part Ross's last movie.
Yeah, so let me see. What was my favorite? What was the one that it was modeled after Daniel Craig, but it wasn't like a movie adaptation.
Oh, Blood Diamond or Bloodstone or
Bloodstone. I knew it had blood in the title somehow. That's my favorite. I love that one.
Yep.
What about you, JJheat? JJheat,
Sorry about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, what's your favorite Bond game?
Mhm.
There's not that many.
Oh, there's GoldenEye, there's GoldenEye Rogue Agent, there's Everything or Nothing.
Well, obviously
there's from
GoldenEye.
Russia, I would say there's From Russia with Love, there's Nightfire, there's Agent Under Fire. I could go on.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye. So you're just going for the safe bet, huh?
Well, I kind of have to.
You know I'm messing.
I know.
Exactly.
But,
Jose says also, what's your guys' most dislike adaptation, whether through character or comic book? The adaptation I hate the most, the Halo TV show. You have any idea how long I've been waiting for that show? 10 years. 10 years. And what do? He takes off his helmet. He has sex with a Covenant spy. He does all sorts of really BS stuff. There's an episode, Robert, where he takes off his helmet, he puts it back on. He takes off his helmet, he puts it back on. Almost like 343 was saying, screw you guys.
Again, this is a question I gotta think on. Most dislike, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to when I brought up it was Diamond. I gotta say, people and here's the funny thing is, Diamond got in this situation because they were like, oh, but they helped us so many small stuff. They took losses on all those small publishers. That's how they got in the situation they were in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Random just made a comment.
Random says, did you guys know?
Yep.
No, that Skybond just got yes. No,
And
but
Dan
let me put
Moore.
it this way: the creative team, so good. But how does Dan Morris sleep? There's so much.
He's working on like 5-6 projects at a time.
According to Wade, he can get up to 6 to 8 pages a day at his best. That's all you need to know.
Okay. Yeah,
I will say this much: God help us if that Mass Effect live action TV show ever comes out, because people will riot.
Let me tell you this. Here's the thing that blows my mind about Dan Mora. He can do all this, and his art never suffers.
Nope. That's
what is happening here?
He is that good and fast.
Yeah, I'm just
now. Here's the other thing. I'm positive somebody's already done it well ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm positive the Deadpool Batman's already done.
Yeah, but the fact that he can balance all this stuff together, because that's a problem with some artists when they take on too big of a workload, they're just all of a sudden like their art starts to shift.
Now, I don't think he's ever going to go under contract. I think he's made that very clear. He doesn't want to ever be exclusive because he wants to be open to such projects.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'd have to pull out a dump truck of money for him to go exclusive for you if he means he'll be missing out on good projects. Plus, also, I think he's just doing the first arc of Transformers. I don't think it's going to be ongoing. I think he's gotten too much of a good deal at DC.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I'm like, and he exactly. So, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but if you're Transformers, who's going to say no?
Who's going to say no? I love the way he draws Optimus Prime. So I'm like, okay, that works. But first off, and the Transformers series have been superb. And Kirkman doing Transformers, I'm like, okay, I could go with that.
When was the last project he's written besides that Invincible Battle whatever book?
I don't. Wait, he did Void Rivals.
He does Void Rivals, so it makes sense.
Yeah, which I'm like, okay. I'm like, as long as they keep to the general themes and like what makes the Daniel Warren Johnson Transformers series works, I'm fine with that.
Right. By the way, so what do you guys think about now with everything going on with DC currently in the stories? What do you guys think about where it seems like they're heading?
Like, you mean in
after
terms of,
We Are Yesterday?
Well, I like here's the funny part. When they have all these time displaced characters, I'm like, this isn't gonna last that long.
No, it's just until the next step. I think it's gonna be whatever they're building up to at the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
This is gonna be sandwiched in between the next major comic book event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
it's kind of a placeholder.
Yep, but the fact we have Electric Blue Superman running around.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
But-
what if he splits into Electric Red as well?
Oh, no!
Oh no, oh, no, Robert.
But I'm hoping they could do something with that. But also the fact that you have Doomsday Time Trapper with the World Forger.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the fact that they actually have said a crisis is coming? Which obviously going to be a crisis on two Earths between the two worlds.
Yeah, I would say that's good. It's good. I figured that another Crisis event, like labeled Crisis from the beginning, not like Dark Crisis, was gonna happen. So I'm like, okay, that works.
It's going to be a more contained crisis, not a
It's just the
infinite
two
Earth.
Earths, because like remember, Earth Prime is cut off from the multiverse. Number one, and number two, the only other Earth that they've dealt with is the absolute universe
So far. And what do you say about New 52 Harleys being one of the time display squads just so they can have her in that old outfit?
Yeah, if that works, I like that. I also like George Perez's Wonder Woman is back. They won't do anything with her, but it's nice to see her.
That's sadly one thing that King is just going to ignore, and someone else might do something.
What would be absolutely hilarious? This won't happen. This won't happen. I'm just saying that this is my. Oh my gosh, this would be hilarious if they rebooted Wonder Woman by just replacing her. They won't do that. They won't do that. But it was a funny joke there.
What do you think about Steve McNiven doing that Tom King book, Batman book? McNiven coming to DC.
Yeah. Well, first off, McNiven doing a Batman book. Hell yes.
I mean, he's just wrapping up his Daredevil book with Charles Soule.
That is a perfect idea. I love that.
Yeah, well, no, they're wrapping up the Cold Day in Hell, which is basically Soule's take on Daredevil: The End, or Dark Knight Returns. Except I will say this one downside with McNiven: he draws old people way too wrinkly.
Yeah,
that is one of the biggest issues. They're way too wrinkly. Oh, have you read the new Green Lantern issue?
Yeah. I mean, Aya. Yeah, there you go.
Even though technically she was set up back in Jeff Johns during the War of the Green Lanterns.
No, but we actually have.
Now we got proper Aya.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, Razor, we found her.
Earlier, remember?
Oh, yeah.
He was in the beginning of Adam's run.
No, but I'm like, hey, Razor, we found her.
Yep.
Get over here.
Oh, Louis had a good question. Didn't happen.
Mm-mm.
No, wait. I think they mean Yara Flora.
Well, Yara is being butchered by Tom King. John Kent is John Kent.
Jace has just been ignored and forgotten.
Because it's like that was a stupid idea.
And here's the other problem. I think because Ridley was the only person who cared.
Yeah, because here's the thing about Jace. They didn't do anything to make him different. And plus, here's the other part. Why didn't they just make Luke Fox that Batman?
Because Jace was a blank slate and really just wanted to make something whole new.
I don't like it. I don't like that.
And even then, it's not even a blank slate. Jace Fox was just a deep cut from the 70s.
Oh, yeah, but he could start over from scratch with him and decide to just totally ruin every other Fox member.
Yeah, and you gave him pretty much the exact same Batman costume as Bruce. Mm-hmm. So I'm like...
And then have it be both the illusions saying they're appropriating Batman.
And I go, no, just stop it. I'm glad that I don't see Ridley doing a lot of like work at DC anymore because between this and having Superman get R-worded in prison, he's done his damage.
Now,
and painting the Justice League as racist in this other history of the DC universe.
I'll say though, his Action Comics thing wasn't that bad, and that him working with Ryan Patard, or however you say their name, on that Justice League Adam project was actually pretty good.
Yeah, and in terms of Action Comics, I liked it up until he referenced the Superman.
But it was kept very loose, so at least you could ignore it.
Still.
By the way, I'm looking forward to the Starbreaker Corps. I am so looking forward to that with this crossover. Seriously, this feels like the Jeff Johns and Vendetti era all over again.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I like that.
And loving it. Loving it.
Yeah, but speaking of loving it, by the way, so I picked up something because I've enjoyed Kelly Thompson's work. I picked up the omnibus of her Captain Marvel run.
How was it?
I actually like Captain Marvel as a character now.
Cool. I
She's
think
really good.
and look, she needs the right hands, not someone, especially not to be in an era where they're saying she's the greatest because
Like they still do that here, but here's the problem: as opposed to Kelly Sue DeConnick, Kelly still like weighs in on the feministy part of the character, but not as heavy-handed.
By the way, to answer that adaptation, I got one.
What?
This is technically a bit of a full circle adaptation. The Clementine graphic novels.
Oh.
I hate those.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it from the moment of the first few pages. Okay, who here has played the Telltale games?
Mm-hmm.
JJheat?
I've heard of them.
Right now, I'm saying JJheat? JJheat, you there? Is he on mute?
I think he's unmuted. But I've only played the Telltale Batman games.
Okay.
What?
Clementine, when she was on the younger by the second season, would be taking care of this little baby named AJ, who she pretty much helped raise and grow up, even by the time of the final season, where she would do anything for this kid. Anything to get, especially by season 3 when she was separated from him and she was doing anything she could to get him back. She was raising this kid well, making sure, especially when it looked like he was going down a dark path, one of the things you do is to make sure he becomes something good. She would never abandon him, ever.
Mm-hmm.
What is the first thing she does in this graphic novel? Lee thinks, oh, it's a safe place for you, but I got to keep going because I can't settle for long. And then, what does the writer do? Starts pairing her up with an Oscar avatar of herself, and then so she can bang Clem. Now, Clem is an adult by this point, just to make it clear.
That's good. It's a very distinct. This isn't a John Byrne book, but by Louise says. If Kelly Thompson's not available for Wonder Woman, I would say Jeremy Adams. He already has a pitch.
Yeah.
So,
but like I said, though, that is one of the worst adaptations ever, because it totally derails her character utterly. And you can so tell the writer herself said she didn't even play the game. She just watched other people from Skybound play it for her while she watched and took notes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, just
Or how about but that's my worst.
As I say what you will about King with Wonder Woman, I'm sorry. That is worse for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
When it's done to Clementine, it's far worse than anything King has done to Diana.
Mm-hmm.
I know you'll argue with me on that, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see.
And I do love Diana, but what was done to Clem was an atrocity. Just to have the unauthored avatar, an actual, like, wholly created character, looks even like the author, created so Clem can bang her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh yeah. And Louise, that's the other thing. By the final, granted, by the final season, you could actually decide if Clem is with a boy or a girl. So she is bi. That is canon.
Okay.
Just want to make that clear because the OC is female. Yes, because Clem is officially canonly bi.
Okay, I guess. But
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on that rant, but I just realized the final graphic novel came out, and that just brought back the anger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But I think that's a good place to leave it. So
yes,
we will.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll wrap it up. Barry, so Robert, where can we find you and what have you got coming out? By the way, I watched. I'm halfway through your episode with Britt. Great job. I love that one.
Yep. I got linked down at the bottom. I got Pro Teachers Noobs. You can. I have another one with Britt coming up sometime soon. Check that out. At my friend Alex has just left, so I'll be getting back to my normal stuff soon. And otherwise, not much else.
How about you, JJheat?
And keep my
As
hands
for
up.
me, you can find me at JJheat Plays or JJheat75. I do gaming streams like Mass Effect, Walking Dead, Telltale series, just anything and everything I can find and get my hands on. I may even start doing a Gotham Knights playthrough again. I hadn't decided yet on that one just because
Yep,
and
go ahead.
also New Direction vs. Heroes in Crisis. I am wrapping up the manuscript on that. I just need to set a date for when me and Jared will cover that.
Oh,
and thank you for all you for coming to the show. I really appreciate it.
Before we move on, JJheat, what is your thought on the Clementine book?
Which one?
The graphic novel.
What is my song? What is my
thought on the Clementine from the Walking Dead games?
It's pretty good.
You like that garbage?
I was being sarcastic.
Thank God, dude. You had me worried for a second.
It wasn't like me and Teladia saying how much we love Jason Aaron's Thanos.
Oh, it was.
I love this. By the way, JJheat, so here's how this went. So Robert doesn't like it. So I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the book. So I explained to Teladia, because he hadn't read it, what the story is. Without me prompting, he goes, "That's a cool story." Hey, come on. It's a PG-13 show, Robert.
Sorry.
But as for me, so we're going to be covering superhero movie tomorrow. As for Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and Jen and I are going to be talking about are going to be doing a timeline of the DC universe. In other words, our own history of the DC universe. Like if we were in charge, this is what it would look like. I'm going to be doing my Wonder Woman Q&A, Amazon Answers, where I answer questions about the George Perez Wonder Woman run. In other words, the GOAT. And then that's what I got for right now. But all right. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. And Steve Trevor, Steve Never, he belongs in the surface of the sun. Zois and Max about for life. I will see you later. Bye-bye.